The committee. It's the 26th of November. Thank you, members and officers and guests for attending. So, moving to the first item on the agenda, it's the membership of the committee. So, let me first introduce Councillor Matthew Rolls, who's now joined the committee. Welcome. We'll note that. Apologies for absence.
Have apologies for absence from Councillor Patterson. I think everybody else is present.
Everybody else is present. Excellent. Minutes of the previous meeting been circulated. Any comments on those? We're happy to the perfection. Any Master Rosie? Nope.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Disclosure members' interests. Anybody? I was disclosed that I'm a member of the Open Leisure Centre, which is very good. I appreciate it, but I'm advised that doesn't preclude me from taking part. Anybody else? No? Moving on, forward plan of cabinet decisions.
These are decisions that have been made by the cabinet and also the forward plan of future cabinet decisions. I've got nothing to add, Chair, other than to point out for members' information that the bottom page 23, the use of the excellent former fire station, that recording will be considered. Recording will be considered by Open Services next Wednesday.
Councillor?
Yes, to bring up about the forward plan, and I think it's important because we are making the cabinet are making very important decisions, and in some measures we're not actually being given the report in the time within the forward plan to actually scrutinise it, and I think that is one of the things pre-scrutiny, and when a decision is being taken, so the discussion we're having today, for instance, was about the new recycling thing, which is great. It would have been great if we could have had an input into that beforehand, but it wasn't time because it wasn't in the forward plan early enough. So we'd have the opportunity to call it in and maybe give and help more and better introduction of it to the rural areas, but also to the urban areas. So I just think, could we have an opportunity to maybe have a look at the forward plan in more detail? I'm not making it correctly because today is what we are, but just to make the forward plan in more detail, so we can have details, or we can have presentations or whatever about an agenda item, something that's really important, so we can have a look at it, so we don't land up calling things in or not having feeling we're justifying our existence to actually the cabinet say, look, you could have thought about this, and I'll give you, when you're going through it, I'll give you an opportunity to say, if we knew that earlier we could have said something. So it's just, I think that would help. We could look at the Constitution Working Group as well, and to actually address that, because it has been discussed, but not in detail. Yeah. And maybe this is the opportunity now to ensure we do get and make better use of the forward plan.
Yes, thanks for that.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Councillor.
Yeah, can I just point out it was actually added to the forward plan on the 1st of April 25, as is in this report.
Yeah, but it wasn't. There was no plan. There was nothing there.
Well, I think
that's the point being. Is
I think, Councillor, we did clarify. We did have a big review of the scrutiny function, and we decided to move away from pre-scrutiny, because what was previously happening was where cabinet reports were coming to scrutiny like the week before cabinet, which was no time at all to actually make meaningful change. The idea now is if we see things on the extended forward plan topics where we want to have a deep dive before the cabinet reports are written, that's when we need to be identified. So I think you're right. We do need to look at things down the line on the forward plan.
Thank you very much. We can take that on board.
I'll pass that on to the end. I think the issue that you raised is the detail that's in the forward plan, rather than the entry itself.
Yeah. I have got all the details there.
Yeah. I mean, you'll see from the forward plan that I've listed on page 25 onwards, the detail that I've included there is the detail on the forward plan entry. So some of them are just one-liners, where perhaps what you see as suggested is there should be a little bit more detail in there.
I think we take that point and put it on that meeting.
Yeah, and just from your own benefit, it's not necessarily having an issue with it, but on 21, it's the flood A1 contract.
Oh, so
the item about the flood A1 contract, page 21, and as I say, it's just from your own benefit. This is we've granted delegate authority to the contract for 5.3. I'm just wondering why this is our issue to do a prototype flood warning system as it's the A1.
No, I think it's AI.
Artificial intelligence.
Sorry, I mean that as the A1.
Yeah, sorry, it's not the road, it's the.
Well, that might help the situation. Well, you see, I was thinking of the fact that there was a massive flood on the A1 as well. And I'm thinking, oh, well, it must be to do with that.
No, it's the clever technology that monitors for.
Couldn't understand why we're dealing with the highways England, so.
Right, okay, well, thanks for that. So moving on then, next report, we've got places for people leisure. Unfortunately, the council member can't be here, so I'll ask Nigel Walsh to introduce the report, introduce our guests from people places, and then we'll get from there.
Good afternoon, Madam. I'm Nigel Walsh, I'm Director of Stronger Communities, active principal client for the leisure and wellbeing contract. We undertook a significant review of leisure services from October 1 to September 22. This led to a new specification being compiled with a particular focus on wellbeing and inequality rather than the traditional leisure. Following the procurement exercise, Places Leisure were appointed to provide management service on behalf of the council from April 2024, a 10-year contract. Within the specification, there's clear performance standards, there's a clear reporting cycle. And one of the expectations is that an annual service review is provided to the Leisure Board Council, and also that a summary of that annual service review is included in an annual update to this group chair. So today, really pleased to introduce Paul Metcalf, who is the contract manager for Northumberland, and also Steve Warriner, who is the area manager for Leisure. And I'll just hand over to Steve.
I understand you've got a slide presentation.
We have, yeah, if I can pick that up, I'm going to do the
On the screen, if that's possible.
Just remembering what to do.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
yeah, if you can click on the board, please. I'm not the big Warren area manager with Places Leisure. It was not working. I'm going to do the heavy lifting, so I'm going to cover slide 1. Paul's going to cover the rest of them. But just a little reminder of who we are as an organisation. So Places Leisure is part of a broader company, Places for People, large social enterprise spread around the whole of the UK. And as Nigel said, we were lucky enough to start working with NCC back in 24. We are in essence a social enterprise, so we have no shareholders, we pay no dividends, we reinvest everything that we make in terms of surplus back into the services and the facilities that we work within. Paul will cover some of that as we go through the presentation. We work with 35, it says 36, so that's 35 other local authority partners other than yourselves, with just over 100 leisure facilities. I won't read all of the points on the slide, but it just gives you a bit of a scale of who we are and what we do. And you know, this is April will be end of year 2. So it's been a very busy 2 years, but we're absolutely delighted to be here working in partnership. We've already got a great working relationship with the officers, and it's proven to be a really good partnership so far. Paul's going to give a bit of an update on what's been happening in that first year.
Thank you. I'm Paul Metcalf. I'm the contract manager, and just to give you some assurance that you haven't got strangers coming from London and taking on Northumberland. I've worked in leisure within Northumberland for 37 years. I've been to a number of different companies and was fortunate to be awarded the to lead the contract in Northumberland when Places won the contract. So I basically just want to try and walk you through what we've achieved in the first year, what's worked really well for us, what we think's worked really well in partnership with the council. It's nice to start off by saying this contract's slightly different from a lot of other level contracts, and the focus is definitely upon healthy communities, how we support the council to tackle health inequalities in the county, and hopefully sort of like display some of the schemes that we put in place to work towards achieving those goals. So when we were awarded the contract, we devised a service plan in conjunction with our colleagues with the council. Our strapline to create active places and healthy people for communities to thrive. 5 key areas that we're looking at in the service plan: health and wellbeing, to obviously try and increase physical activity across the county, to work with partners to close the health inequalities gap that exists. Workforce development to cultivate a highly motivated, engaged and committed workforce. Customer engagement to regularly engage with customers and use feedback that drive service improvements. Obviously, environmental and energy to try and reduce our carbon footprint, and commercial opportunities to look at how we can invest as a company to invest in the growth strategies. So hopefully I'll just walk you through these bit by bit. Our service plan is aligned to NCC corporate priorities, as we've outlined up there, and we engage regularly with our clients and partners. We provide quarterly updates to NCC officers via the partnership board. We meet on a quarterly basis. Our updates include a suite of KPIs, which show how we're performing on a quarterly, monthly basis, how we're contributing to the wider NCC objectives. And this presentation and review is basically setting the baseline year for 24-25. So what have we achieved in the first 12 months? With our colleagues, we successfully transferred 750 colleagues on a 2-week process. Our colleagues immediately got a wage rise because Places Leisure pay a real living wage. So that was an increase in our lowest paid colleague got something like a £2 increase straight away on their salary per hour. There was a difference between when Acton Northumberland paid the salaries in the bank accounts, different payment dates. So there's a 6-week gap between one payment finishing and another payment being made. Places Leisure provided a welcome payment to staff to bridge that gap, and that was free money. It wasn't have to be paid back in any way, shape or form. It was a welcome payment, as I say. We have free family membership for our families, for staff. We have a health cashback plan. All colleague bonus, provided we meet certain criteria throughout the year. We provide a bonus at the end of the year to reflect performance. We're very big on personal development for colleagues, and we're very big on staff satisfaction. Recognition for colleagues. We have a manager reward scheme. There's a recognition cards. We have a star award scheme where we can nominate staff who've gone over and above. Long service awards. So if somebody like myself who's worked here for a significant period of time would receive a long service award. Unfortunately, I missed my 35-year award and I've got away for 40 years now. And we have a career compass where somebody can actually map out a career not just within Places Leisure, but within the wider group, Places for People. So if I chose at my stage of life to go and decide what to be a plumber, I have to map out what I need to do, what qualifications I need to go and work to be a plumber in my later years. We communicate with our colleagues via customer promises, people promises. We have our own intranet that we call Places Connect, which is our Bible for our operating systems. We have our own internal social media channels, which we call Leader Engage, which is just like Facebook or X, where you can post what you've done really well and the rest of the company get to see it and comment upon it. We undertake a big colleague survey, which I'll go through in a later slide. On there, and we have people management events. So 3 times a year, all the wider leadership team gather in London, and we talk strategy with manager, director, and senior leadership team, and bring it back to the county and disseminate that amongst our staff. Innovation that we've achieved in the first 12 months. We've gone through a digital transformation exercise. We've updated our website and app so to make it a lot more accessible. We've introduced eGym into our gyms. We've relaunched the GP referral scheme, and we've introduced cost of profit serve in all of our catering outlets. For our customers, we've implemented facility investments. We've introduced our healthy communities agenda. We've got concessionary pricing. So where we have got our baseline of this headline price, within this concession there up to 50%, depending upon need. We've obviously had to rebrand. We've got customer promises, and we're very big on customer satisfaction. So the year one plan for increasing physical activity and health equity. We've invested in facility investments, competitive pricing. We've looked at our customer journey. We've introduced our healthy community programme. In order to do that, we've introduced a new team to deliver the required outputs and outcomes. We've invested within the teams, within the leisure facilities, but also outreach work within the communities. So year one facility investment, we've undertaken 4 refurbishments at Concordia, Wilburn, Truro and Ashton, which were 4 gym refurbishments. We've installed EGYM, which offers a personalised and progressive workout programme. So it does a lot of the work for you. So once you've been analysed, the machines are set up. So when you go on the machine, it tells you what exercise you need to do, and you work with that exercise. We've undertaken 3 studio refurbishments in Concordia, Wilburn and Ashton. We bought pool inflatables, dry inflatables, cost of power to serve. We've objectively replaced the whole IT infrastructure across the whole of the portfolio. And we're currently installing LinkSight, which is cameras in our swimming pools, which is a life-saving support system. In terms of the environmental upgrades, we've installed solar panels at Pontillion and Ashton to supplement the solar panels that already exist across our leisure centres. We've installed LED lighting upgrades in Wilburn, Ashton, Concordia and Wentworth. Food waste bins have been installed in sites, and they're collected by an approved food waste contractor. We've got a combined heat and power unit planned for this year going into Wentworth, which will hopefully reduce our utility bills. And we've got a pool water recovery system planned for year 2. Pool water recovery system is when you clean the water in the swimming pool, when you filter it, it normally goes to drain. These systems will allow the water to go into a holding tank and then be recirculated, so we're not flushing loads of dirty water into the drain. Couple of slides there of how the facility looks since we put the investment in. What does all that mean? So basically, by doing what we've done with our memberships, with our investments, we increased membership growth by nearly 10% in year 1, which is a significant figure, significant growth. We can say that beginning of quarter 1, 31,680 memberships in total, and by the end of quarter 4, 34,782. It's difficult to say in year 1 how we've increased participation, because this is just the baseline year. So this is just the slide that we present on a quarterly basis to Nigel and Karen to look at our journey throughout the year. Obviously, it's very seasonal specific. Quarter 3 always has a drop off in participation because of the weather. But this is what we'll be using moving forward to compare next year's results with this year's. Healthy communities, we recognise as a company that economic deprivation is a barrier to participation. And if we look at the IMD indices of multiple deprivation, at the end of year 1, actually 20% of our membership was from the bottom 3 lower percentages of IMD, which is quite significant. And it goes to show that we're actually reaching those some harder to reach economically deprived families and individuals. Exercise and referral, again, is all part of the healthy community strategies. So this is a referral scheme for individuals with long-term health conditions to help increase their physical activity, enhance their overall health and well-being and lifestyle and longevity, really. So in the first year, we reduced the scheme from 24 weeks to 12 weeks, so we could get more people through the scheme quicker. There's a concessionary pricing scheme for people who have been referred onto the health exercise on referral. We've introduced a new referral software database, which makes it easier for the GP practices to refer, takes away a lot of bureaucracy and administration. And what we've done is we've signposted MSK referrals to alternative health improvement schemes, such as Good Boost, which is water-based in the pool programs, rather than taking up the spaces which are really needed for those people who have got COPD and worse health conditions. So from April 2024, we've had 2,500 referrals with a take-up rate of 54%, which is significantly higher than the national average, and I believe it's one of the highest take-up rates in the country, and certainly through places like it. From that, we've had 1,600 referrals from IMD levels 1. 277 completed the scheme already, 352 are going through the scheme, and 368 are yet to start. And at the end of the scheme, what we do is we provide extra routes into self-sustaining activity. So it will be into the gym, it could be into a swimming lesson, it could be into a class, which is signposted as appropriate for the person's individual needs and requirements. The project as part of our healthy communities is something completely new. It's designed to help girls aged 9 to 15 in target areas feel sport ready. So it's an age group and an agenda which is previously shied away from sport and physical activity. So this is designed to make them sport ready in a safe and welcome environment. We've rolled this project up across all sites in year 1. And not only do we have an instructor to deliver the session, we have an on-site ambassador who will meet and greet the girls and make them comfortable about taking part in the physical activity. We had 1,189 members involved in the scheme by the end of the year 1. So from a standing start to nearly 1,200 members is a fantastic achievement. 579 of those individuals qualify for free membership in the 11 to 15-year-old age, and 115 free memberships for 9 to 10-year-olds. We also have collection boxes in all of the sites for training kit to be donated. So a lot of the girls who come in and try to use the facility haven't got the up-to-date gym equipment or body confidence to attend these sessions, which wasn't previously a barrier to participation. So we actually donate, and our customers donate kit, which we then give to the girls that allows them to participate. And I am going to brag because all of the places portfolio is the largest and most successful program in the country. I mentioned earlier Good Boost and MSK programs. So this is to support people who are over 18 years of age who've got a musculoskeletal condition based in the swimming pools, and it involves use of a tablet with an instructor. It's all water-based exercise. We successfully launched this in Berwick, Wentworth and Williburn, Concordia from Q2 last year, and we're planning to reproduce the program for this year. Since the launch last year in Q2, we've had 1,200 attendances, and what we've also done is develop a partnership with JMAPS, who target those living with pain, and that's an arrangement specific to live sports at the minute, where the physio refers people directly in. As the output's 1,200 attendances since launch, and what this does is free spaces for those who require support via the exercise and referral scheme. Move through menopause. Again, we'll talk a little about this one because the outcomes for this are really good. So this is a 12-week course to empower women by helping them to learn about their condition, meet other women who are going through the same thing, and ultimately sort the stigma around menopause. We've got 4 members of our healthy community team who have completed the course to deliver the sessions. Courses commenced in Concordia in February this year in Wentworth, with further courses planned for Blythe, Puddock and Morpeth in year 2 as part of the cycle. We've had 28 participants complete the 2 pilot courses. And just to talk about how successful this is and how it gets people involved, one of our participants from across in the West joined the course, having never undertaken physical activity, went to play cricket in the local cricket club, and has actually just been named Cricket of the Year in one of the local cricket clubs. So from no participation to achieving an accolade is a real testament to this particular course. And we've now currently got 60 women across 5 cohorts. I'll not go through that because you should have already had it in the class. I'm not going to just talk through all that on you. Mums on the Move. This is a scheme that we inherited from up in Northumberland, but just developed a little bit further as part of the healthy community strategy. So the Mums on the Move is designed to support mums to be, new mums and the babies, and it's all around with the focus on preventing and managing postnatal depression. So we've taken the Mums on the Move a little bit further. We've introduced active tots and baby sessions at Blythe, and we've expanded the Mums on the Move section at Pontyland National Family Hub. And we're currently delivering aquanatal sessions at Berwick Concordia Leisure Centre. Anybody who's been in any of our leisure centres recently and seen 15 or 20 mums to be with the buggies or the prams running up and down like Promenade or outside Pontyland Leisure Centre, that's one of these programmes. And we are expanding Mums on the Move. Like I say, Hexham, Wooler and Newbiggin, so we're going to go out into the community to deliver this a little bit more rather than just delivering it within the leisure centres. And we're also going to support the councils during the fixed centre. People with disabilities, so our outcome is to ensure provide accessible welcoming spaces, enabling participation across the ability spectrum. The current status is that we work with the NCC's ability play programmes and facilitate sessions at a reduced price. We've undertaken trainer delivery with C-Sport differently. So if anybody who's got visual impairment, that particular training session allows people to understand how people might move and interact within our facilities. And all of our gym refurbishments provide accessible equipment to people with varying disabilities. Anybody who knows leisure, that's formally what is known as IFA accreditation. Our next steps is the Strong and Steady programme can be used delivering that in care homes and in other facilities in the community. And we've literally just launched now an inclusive membership, which is, I think off the top of my head, somebody who's got a disability requirement and a PIP or a DLA, disability allowance payment, that can be as low as £11 a month now. So it's really reducing the headline rate right down. Overview of healthy communities then in year one. It has been a period of reorganisational change. So the healthy communities into the contract. We did work graduate for a new healthy communities manager and coordinators and reported them in line with the bid. As part of the outreach, we've got 2 outreach funds, which did arrive a little late, so it puts us on the back foot in that respect. Towards the back end of the year, we appointed an external healthy communities instructor, and we've literally just appointed another one now who's due to start in January, so we can deliver more out and about in the community. And I think it's probably taking time to foster relationships and a source appropriate venues. So probably the first 6 to 9 months, I would say, is the healthy communities manager was getting out and about and meeting town councils and village halls and community centres and trying to find some venues in which was a partnership working arrangement. The result of that work is that we now deliver 19 sessions in the community a week through health-based interventions in conjunction with public health colleagues. We've got sessions for people with long-term health conditions, age-related or people with disabilities. We deliver 9 community-based after-school clubs, 15 community walking schemes, and 9 of those which start away from the leisure centres are in some of the more rural areas of the county. We deliver 2 more Mums on the Move sessions in the community, with a further 2 sessions planned in actually in the new again in the play zones. Community isolation, probably just talk through that in respect. So again, that's just to look at some of the rural areas where we're looking to deliver. So the localities where we're looking for interventions are Wooler, Appleton, Cresswell, Longfamlet, Rothbury, Netherwood, Whittington and Amble. We deliver a general move session in sheltered housing with a plan to expand. That's in my Bevan House. And the community walk scheme is going to expand a little bit further with the appointment of that second outreach person into the more rural areas in the north and west of the county. Year 2 plan. So this year's plan is to collaborate with the Community Action Northumberland to help identify the rural communities that are most in need. And as I said, further deliver in the north and the west. Our physical education skills programme is very unique. I think it's the only leisure operator which actually houses a PE specialist team and PE teachers and school games programme. And what they do is support schools and teachers to deliver high quality PE sessions within the schools. That is either through training the teachers or delivering directly themselves. We regularly deliver physical activity to 1,300 children per week, and we deliver after-school clubs in 9 of those schools. The school sports team is also this year a trial delivering holiday activity programs in rugby and Blythe. And the school game is fully inclusive. So some of the school games criteria is not just for those who can achieve, it's for those who don't achieve and who don't participate. So we actually target those who aren't attending for the activity. And the school games updated from there. In year one, I think 86% of the schools actually provide a service, which again is their highest number nationally in terms of school sports partnerships. That's a horrible slide to read. Hopefully you can read it on the pack that we sent out earlier. I'm not even going to try and read it from here. It's basically what we've outlined recently with colleagues around the table to show all the different areas that we're delivering outreach work. In terms of the service plan, workforce development, 95.5% of our staff are trained in what we call mandatory training that they need to undertake. Our turnover of staffing is 15.66, and we've got an absence rate of 3.29%. Some of the headline figures from that is that we transferred some of the employees on due transfer, went through a period of reorganisational change. That 95% training equates to nearly 12,000 mandatory training sessions, which were completed in year one. So big task. All colleagues are DBS qualified now, not just those who deliver on the shop floor, as it were. So every single member of staff had a DBS qualification in check. We looked at how we employed our casual fitness instructors, and we moved all of our casual fitness instructors from a casual basis to a contracted basis to offer them some secure employment opportunities. And staff turnover from quarter one to quarter four actually fell by 3%. Everybody who looks at I think it's the Telegraph or the Times, who always publish the Great Places to Work survey. So last November, we took part in the Great Places to Work survey, or big colleague surveys as advised up in places of leisure and places for people. We took part in this for the first time. And out of our staff who were entitled to submit a response, 98% completed the questionnaire, which was probably higher than the company's average again nationally. And our trust index was 70%. So bearing in mind that our colleagues have been through a significant period of change and transition, to achieve 70% in November, I think was a massive testament to the work that everybody's done, all the managers have done, and people and managers in the contract to get to where we were. Staff engagement came out at 71%, well-being 71%, effective leadership effectiveness 68%, 71% for values, and 71% for innovation by all. Again, in terms of our customer engagement, so what do we do for customer engagement? On a monthly basis, we send out a net promoter score. So we send out to a random number of members, users, how they value the facilities, would they rate us on a scale of 0 to 10, would they recommend us to a colleague, or family and friends. Our average score from December to March when we launched this was 24.3%. Some probably 4 or 5 there, lower than what we would have anticipated, but there are reasons around that why we think that the customers didn't score as highly as what we would have liked. But working through the teething problems now, if we presented the same score now, we'd be up to a score of 35.3%. 30% is considered very good in the industry. So we're probably not going to put the door on that one. And the bottom right-hand slide, again, is just asking customers, is it effortless when you get in touch with us? Is the website effortless? Is the app effortless? How easy it is to get in touch with us? And again, we've scored roughly about 3.99 there, and an excellent score would be 4 or above. In terms of customer engagement, we do a lot of customer engagement. We always laugh when the NPS score come back in, because our customers not something like to tell us exactly how they are. When I compare some of the sites in some of the areas of the country, they might get 20 or 30 responses. some of our sites regularly get over 300. So it's a lot. So we definitely know how customers feel about us at this particular point in time. Quest is Sport England's recommended tool. It's an external accreditation. It's part of the contract. We've previously done it. It's it's a continuous improvement tool for our leisure facilities. It's designed to measure how well a facility is operating and how effective the organisation is across a number of topics. In year one, we had 5 facilities there which were assessed. Received excellent, which is the top accolade, and the other 4 sites were all very good. And in year 2 assessments, we've already gone through Willoughburn and Prudhoe. We've just got Willowburn's score back actually just last week, which has also been achieved very good rating. So again, in terms of very good, where it sits on that performance score, and it is complementary to how we're operating the facilities and do an external assessment. Again, part of our plan is to look at how we can reduce utility costs, and this is just to show basically if we've got data was provided from the council as part of the bid process, which is 2020 FY24, so full year 24 and 25. And this is just a benchmark for this first year, but in terms of the overall performance, then we're in the green with most of those sites. We did have a conversation earlier about why Morpeth's in the red, and some of the sites that are in the red is just where we've had problems with technology and computer systems embedded in with the building management systems. So we've had to move over from NCC IT to Places Leisure IT, and I think sometimes the two didn't talk. So we were operating larger outputs than what we would like, and same with the gas. But what it does is the bottom right corner shows that we're in the green overall. Although I will confess that the scores are slightly skewed because Prudhoe was close for a significant period of time whilst the time refurbishment perhaps in the taking. Financial position. So some big numbers in there in terms of the financial position, but I think for me the positives to take out are the bid position that was put in and submitted to the council, where we are in terms of our income. So fitness income is 16.9% higher than the bid position. Swimming is slightly down, but obviously offset by fitness. Food and beverage is higher, and total income, taking everything into account, is nearly 9% up from the bid position. Obviously, some of the expenditure in there is more than what we expected. But from bid position to actually starting to operating the contract, staff costs went up significantly with the increase in real living wage, energy costs went up, and an increase in IT costs all contribute to the expenditure. If I have to give a very quick 1-slide review of how it's gone for us in the first year, I think again the should be transfer of colleagues, the real living wage pay and pay rise. And obviously that goes into this year and into next year and moving forward. The energy reduction measures that we put in place, the gym refurbishments, completely changing the equipment in 4 gyms, studio upgrades, and the purchasing of new equipment to provide new opportunities. Going through an organisational change process, which was done with sort of like minimal disruption. Establishing a new healthy communities team, achieving quite excellent and very good at the centres that went through it. 11,439 learning and development courses undertaken and achieving that 95% completion rate. The improved budget position against bid, growing our membership base significantly. We transitioned the repairs and maintenance team from NCC to Places Leisure at the end of year 1, so we've now reduced our role of maintenance teams and taking the focus away from property services. And overall, the staff trust index at 70%, despite the fact that a lot of staff saw a change in a new company coming in. So we might be very wary of the change in the first instance, but I think through what we've achieved, hopefully we've provided that reassurance to staff across the board. I'm getting hoarse now, so any questions?
Thank you very much for that. It's a very extensive report. Members, Councillor Smith.
I'd like to focus specifically on the refurbishment of Concordia. You mentioned about gym refurbishments. I'll declare an interest. I've been at Concordia for some time. So I've seen the gym before and after the refurbishment. Do you want my honest opinion about the refurbishment? Probably was a waste of money. I saw nothing wrong with the old equipment. And they accepted in some areas you've improved it. But other areas, I think that's like for like. What have we got in terms of the money that's been spent? I think some areas it's gone backwards. When I've asked the staff, well, what about this machine? That was saying, said, there's no money left in the budget. So am I wrong? I think that what kind of service was done beforehand, what do people want to see? How do they feel about the old equipment and how do they feel about the new? So yes, you spent money, but my impression is honestly, I don't see value for money.
Okay, so got to.
Yeah, I mean,
Thoughts
obviously
on
that's disappointing that you feel that way. I mean, we look at industry trends generally across the whole country. We did spend some time speaking to the team on site and gathering feedback around what they thought, you know, we should invest that money in. Some of it is around not necessarily that the existing equipment was poor or in poor condition, but it does have a lifespan and it does need to be renewed, particularly the cardiovascular. There's also some compatibility issues with, I think a lot of your it was Technogym, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The IT that supports Technogym was different. So we use Life Fitness. So there was some need to actually replace some of the equipment because of that. But we all, you know, every time we do a gym refurbishment, we want that feedback. We want to learn, you know. Everybody wants something different, I guess, when you're doing a gym refurbishment. You hope that generally you provide an improvement for most people. There'll always be, yes, some people that feel that it's not as good as it was before. But generally, we aim to try and please as many as we can. But obviously, you know, take that feedback on board.
But again, the part that this, what the staff told me, there's no money in the budget to replace some of the equipment that was lost beforehand. So I used to have a hyper extension machine. There's nothing like that now. And they said this we can't replace it because there's nothing left in the budget.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not aware of the specifics. It may be that we've decided we don't use those type of machines everywhere, and actually it's something that's not recommended. I don't know. It's a specific piece of equipment, but we can pick that up with the team if they feel that there's specific items that are missing and customers are asking for them. Then of course we want to consider it.
So you get feedback from customers and staff.
Yes.
Okay, that's a comment.
Hi, just following on from your question, what do you do with all the equipment that you've taken out? Do you give it away to other people, or is it wasted, or is it recycled?
Some of it went to.
Some of it came over to Restrain Fitness Centre and Concordia. So we were quite keen to look at potentially to repurpose and recycle. And we did. And I understand that whatever is service will go into a recycling.
Yeah, it gets traded in, and then either refurbish it and then try and sell it on, or you know, it doesn't get wasted.
Right.
Doesn't go to landfill.
No.
Good to hear, thank you.
Councillor Dale.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Very good, very detailed report. Can I just ask you very quickly, one of the council's priorities is inequalities and meeting inequalities. I know in here you've got the inequalities plan 22-24, that there'll probably be an update coming or whatever, but anyway, you'll be looking forward, hopefully. I think what I was going to say was on page 38, you've got the economic deprivation as a barrier to participation. How strongly does that come out in the varied areas of deprivation? Because obviously we've got varied areas of deprivation. How strong is that in most private areas? Have you got an answer to that, or is it more, you won't probably need more? Because I think that's what we're looking for, is to understand that you understand where there is inequality and what you can do to help these deprived areas.
I think that's where the partnership working comes in, and our healthy communities manager is currently working with public health partners to identify those specific areas of need.
And what do you
whether
do?
it be the economic deprivation, rural deprivation.
So what can you do to help people in that area participate more?
In terms of economic deprivation,
Yes, or social deprivation, probably both.
Well, the whole healthy communities agenda is around trying to narrow that health inequalities gap.
So do you give what I call cheaper rates? Or
Yeah, that's.
I just want to know.
Oh, no, that,
How proactive you are.
within the contract, which is the way that obviously the council have written a contract to try and help the local residents access facilities or community-based physical activity. There is a raft of concessionary pricing that we have to adhere to. But we also go slightly above that as well. So the inclusive pricing that we just talked about for people with a disability comes in at around £11. Now that's probably 25% of what the full rate is. And that is right. There's a pay as you go. So if you want to go for a swim and you are on concessionary pricing, it's 50%, whether or not you've got a membership or not. So this.
I think that's what we're looking to you to bring and help people more. So
Absolutely. There's concessionary pricing for a lot of schemes, and the whole health inequalities in the community is to try and get into the rural areas where there's rural deprivation, social isolation, and economic deprivation. So we will go and deliver some activity on people's doorsteps.
Thank you, Dan.
Councillor Sisters?
Yeah, no, and I'll try not to mention the year one. I like the presentation. Thank you very much. It was very good. There's one particular thing that I can only really talk about Hexham, because that's my patch, that's my area, that's the one I used to go to myself. But and there's a big thanks to the staff there, because there was a thing called the Wheels for All. I don't know aware of it. It's a national company who was set up and used the Wentworth Centre for quite a few months. I'm going to say 6 months, but if I'm a month or two out, I apologise for that. It's an excellent thing. It's basically for those with physical and or mental issues and have specialist bikes. You can put a wheelchair on one of the bikes and go around the Wentworth track. You can, there's one particular one where it's a hand operated one. And I sat with a councillor friend of mine who went, and I'm sure we sat a black record on there. Maybe I'm wrong. So it's an excellent facility. And then they withdraw and they go to other parts of the country. And we're looking for £20,000 to sort of purchase the bikes ourselves and keep this going in Hexham, because it was an excellent idea. So massive thanks to all the staff who helped that and volunteered. A lot of the staff volunteered at one times to work that. So that was a brilliant thing. I don't know whether you'd going to other areas within your remit, but it certainly was good at Hexham. So thanks for that. There's one question I would like to ask though, which is it's about the exercise on referral. And I understand that there's what was being said before, concessionary pricing and all that, but I actually used this service a few years ago, following a health issue I had, and I was referred by the GP, and in those times it was like a prescription or something. You went there and you didn't get charged. Do the people who go on these referrals now, are they concessionary priced, free, or what is the situation? Sorry?
It's concessionary.
Concessionary. Oh, right. Okay, brilliant. Yeah, because I thought that was an excellent service as well. I was a bit sceptical when I first started using it. And then whatever it was, 12 weeks later, I thought the benefit was brilliant. So thank you very much for that. I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but when you say it's concessionary, what we talking about per hour, say? I don't know. Put me on the spot. Yeah, a couple of quid, £5 or £10. You don't know, you don't know.
There's a 50% reduction on membership for if you go through the scheme, and then obviously we try and encourage people to stay on with different exit routes. So there's a reduction in the membership whilst you're going through the scheme, and then I think it's 50% reduction as you.
So if it was a GP referral, are you saying they'll have to become members?
No, you get the reduction on pay as you go price as well, so you can't pay as you go, and it's to use the terminology, it's a few quid.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Councillor Sim?
Touching on the children's, like the Big Sister project, and I think it's great that you do that, and it's good that you've got that available to children, because I think it's very important to encourage children to be active. But why is it just for girls? Why are boys not? Why is there nothing there for boys? Boys do have the same struggles as girls.
It was originally funded. The funding was specifically for girls in the first instance.
Yeah.
So it's a question that we get asked a lot. And I might give the wrong answer here, but I think it's been looked at, isn't it?
It is being looked at. I mean, Paul's absolutely right. It was originally for girls because they were seen as a group that particularly fell away from physical activity in that age bracket. So boys tend to stay active, girls generally don't in that age bracket. It was also around sort of period poverty as well. So there's a lot of work around supporting. So it was girl centric to start with. It was a national campaign. It's gone really well. I know we've been asking. We always get asked exactly the same question.
Yeah.
You know, why not for boys as well? And that's something what we can do and how we can frame that.
Yeah, I mean, I know you do like the free swims and Ashton during the holidays and things like that, and that's fantastic that you do get access to that. But in Ashton, the pool's broken a lot. I mean, I've put the plug on my membership because aqua classes are like what I normally like to do. Because I've got my gym elsewhere because I don't find the equipment. I'm more for the machines with the weights and stuff. So Ashton doesn't cater for us and the treadmills and stuff. So I've got 2 memberships, and the Ashton one I pulled me places membership because I only ever used it for aqua, which was limited anyways, and the pool's knackered. It's not working, and a lot of people I've known complained about the same thing where there's not enough space for the 30. I can say there's 30 each class. So when you've got people complaining that you're too close to them, it kind of puts you off a little bit going in, because a lot of people are. I mean, I'm 5'2", so it's you can only be certain. And then when you've got like a dip in the floor, it was great how the floor used to rise, but it doesn't anymore. So I think a lot of people have kind of stepped away. I don't know if it's been resolved or
That's been fixed.
has it.
So how are you going to lure councillors in back to a legislative?
Conversation there on job isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do to get you back
Yeah,
in.
but same with the boys as well, like with the women as well with the menopause. Like you seem to be focusing more on women than you are men. I think it's important. Like there's a lot of men struggle with mental health and things, and I think it would be nice to see is be a bit more inclusive towards the male population. It seems to be girls and females, whereas I do feel as in you aren't targeting male as much. So I think it's maybe something you could look at, but well done for what you are doing.
If I can just come in actually, because I'm very mindful of the specification that NCC that we set out, and in terms of our public health agenda and increasing physical activity opportunities, one area that we did specify was women and girls. So to be fair to places, when they've come in to deliver the contract for NCC, that initial specification set out that we needed to improve physical activity opportunities for women and girls who were deemed to not be taking that up in the county of Northumberland. So I think your point is well made. We're a year and a little bit into the contract, and Big Sister has been incredibly popular.
Yeah.
And it's maybe an inspiration now to take that forward, to think about how we can then take that particular concept where we focus on a group to encourage activity and have that incredible uptake, and consider how we can look at it in a more broad context. But to be fair to places, when we set out the specification, one of the areas that we highlighted was women and girls, and in looking at the menopause aspect and the Big Sister project, then our colleagues from places have really met the brief in that respect. However, we evolve as a service, and I think your feedback today is very valuable, and certainly we can reflect on that and consider how we can continue to develop the service going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Spinell?
Yeah, on going back to the tackling inequality of health and access to exercise and healthy living. You mentioned the IMD, the 3 economically deprived areas that came through. Can you tell me what areas they are and how they were identified?
It's indices of motor deprivation is it's a scale of 1 to 10. Of course, it's not particularly a particular area. Some areas might have higher indices of multiple deprivation. But it's basically those who are on the lower side of the economic scales. That's how it's quantified.
So you can't actually drill down.
You can.
That data is there. You know, it's a standard metric, isn't it, in terms of population, demographics, etc. And as a local authority with we're part of the Public Health Directorate, so we do work in partnership with places to provide data, to collaborate. Have a partnership board. We meet together to develop the Healthy Communities programme, which is very, very much focused on those INDs. So we do use that consistent data. We're happy to take any questions away. If you would like to do a deeper dive to understand that a little bit further, then we can take that question away and come back with a response for you.
Another part of what I was looking at, or have been for some time, is can you use the database information of membership across all the leisure facilities to identify the footfall areas that the people come from that use those particular facilities, to show you're obviously going to have a hotter print nearer to the facility, and then you call the print on it.
The travel time.
Yeah. So when I come from somewhere like I do from Bedlington and Sleekburn, which is a deprived area, although we might be the fourth largest town in Northumberland, we haven't got leisure facilities. But we're told that we should travel to Accrington, Cramlington, Morpeth, whatever. But then if you're from a deprived area, you've got no transport, and you've got no public transport that takes you to the sports facility. And in the winter time, you've got children. You can see the difficulties.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is, can you tell me, not now, how many people from any 22 travel to which leisure centres and use them?
I think I'm just mindful of the system, the database, and we have 10 leisure centres. If you're a member of places that you will align yourself by choice, won't you, to you will nominate
Yes.
a leisure centre, which is your local centre. And I would imagine potentially we could look at where those
We'll have the
members
postcode data.
resided and,
Yeah.
and which centre they have then nominated to be their preferred. That doesn't always, be careful with data at times, haven't you? So that doesn't always mean that it might be convenient because you work there. I don't live in Northumberland. I'm a member at Morpeth. My data would completely skew the system if you looked at my postcode and which gym I go to. So I think we can possibly get a level of data, and we'll have a look at it. We can share it, but we maybe need to provide a little bit of context around
It
it.
shows that there's a lot of people from any 22 who are using facilities and happen to travel, but it shows that nobody from any 22 is using leisure facilities, so therefore there could be a demand.
Yeah, we can have a look at the data. Obviously, it's two-dimensional. We're very mindful of that. I think there needs to be a little bit of intelligence wrapped around it in terms of potential context to get the best out of that data. But we can certainly have a look at it as a team.
One other thing I might get asked was on the after schools programs for exercise, again, coming from a deprived area, they've withdrawn the bus services. So 3:15, the bus from Bedlam Station goes off, and there's not another one for 2 3/4 hours. So those children have to catch that bus and can't then stay behind and use these facilities and then catch the bus an hour and a half later. They're stuck in the middle of the winter in the weather, waiting for a bus for hours. Is there any consideration taken into transport for those people if they want to stay behind and do after school work in order to get home at a reasonable time?
I think that's a challenging question to answer. If I've interpreted correctly, given we have a leisure portfolio, we've got 10 leisure centres. The operational hours are generally 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. They're open and available to anybody who wishes to use them, and as a member or a pay-as-you-go. In relation to transport, it's not a requirement for places to provide any transport to enable travel across the county to reach the leisure centres.
Which then shoots down the argument for reducing inequality. Because if you live locally, you can use it. If you don't live locally, you've got to go home or wait away.
I think, but it's to the avoidance of doubt that there's no requirement for places to provide
I
transport
think,
to access leisure centres.
Yeah,
I don't think this item, so here,
Jump in, obviously be responsible for transport provision. Clearly, on school transport is around getting people from education back to the home and vice versa. So that provision's separate, but there are clearly a range of public transport services. There's some very attractive fares, particularly for young people at the moment. As part of that, if there are particular transport routes that you don't feel are well served currently, by all means have that dialogue directly with us as part of that bus service improvement plan. There's a range of services that can be, considered.
that's been slashed. The 424. That's the Widrington.
well, can I ask, councillor to email, Paul with that, 44, have a look at that particular service within the bus team. Right, Mr. Councillor Dodd next.
Yeah, I just in the rural areas, there's no buses at all. Anyway, is antisocial behaviour a problem at some of your centres? You said you've got 10, because I can only speak on the one I know, and that comes and goes, and our staff trained for it, because I've witnessed it quite a bit, 20, 30, 40 screaming youths trying to get into a centre and only 2 staff to stop them.
It's like you say, it comes and goes. It tends to be seasonal. Cold nights come in. We tend to get a lot of the youths hanging around the leisure centres where it might be light and warm and hang around the sort of like the plant rooms. And yes, staff have a basic level of training in dealing with conflict and dealing with antisocial behaviour. And the fallback position is, that they're in the police.
I just speak on Teelan. No, sometimes it comes, and they're generally from not on Teelan.
Yeah.
There's on Teelan, but they live in town and they hang around because that's all they do. So
yeah, we're fully aware of the problems in Teelan with the kids that are bussed in from the town and the relevant sort of behaviour there, and staff are fully aware of it. We've intervened, we've had conversations with the staff, we've raised it with police at various levels. And our fallback position will always be to the staff is if there are any issues, dial 999.
Thank you. Councillor Walls.
Sorry, my question was on the 20% of the members in deprived areas. Is that a good number, or does it represent improvement? What was your target?
It's because it's the first year of operating under places. Then previous data, obviously places haven't got. If I would look at it as a contract manager and knowing the sort of like the health inequalities across the county, if they're pulling 20% or fifth of the population who are members who are from the lower IND levels 1 to 3, I would think that's pretty good. The point would be if we can increase it if we're here this time next year and it's gone up.
On that point, obviously, you haven't got the Northumberland data, but places have got data from across the country. So is the Northumberland percentage typical, atypical of this sort of leisure membership in economic terms?
I wouldn't have that data to hand, but all that information to hand. But I would imagine. I mean, it'll vary vastly across the rest of the country, obviously for obvious reasons. I mean, we'll have contracts down in Sussex where the IND levels are so completely different, and then other contracts in maybe Rotherham and Sheffield that are more similar to areas of Northumberland. So it will vary massively, but I would imagine these are some of the highest levels that we've got.
So you would feel it's good engagement?
Yes.
Okay.
If I may come in on that point, I think it's a great question. So obviously, if we say 20%, you want to mark it and measure it against something else, don't you? And Paul has said, that this is year 1 of the leisure operating contract, so it's the start of our journey. In relation to the leisure operating contract and our relationship with places, what we can provide assurance of is that I feel that we are measuring performance and taking data linked into inequalities in a significantly more robust way than we ever have done as a local authority. So yes, it's year one, and there's maybe only part of that story we can tell at this moment in time, but we will be able to animate that much more than we ever have done in the past with our leisure service. So it will be interesting when we come back next year and we maybe look at that 20% and we compare and contrast. But you know, in terms of the contract, we are measuring and monitoring significantly more than we ever have done previously.
Thank you. Councillor O'Connor, want to come back?
Just on page 34, with the combined heat power at Wentworth, what's this powered by? And also, will it be compatible with the future district heat network in the town?
It's powered by gas. So what happens is it's very layman's description this mind, because I'm not a technical. It's powered by gas, but then what it does is its waste product then converts to electricity. So what we don't pull is electricity from the grid. So we use our own electricity from the byproducts of the gas that's used. And because we are around the table as one of the biggest suppliers of energy across the county, then we are around the table looking at the district heat networks and how they can be used to feed into the listening cities.
Yeah. So if I may add to that as well, so in terms of the heat networks, as Paul said, we have I sit on that board, and we have a representative from Places Leisure who sit on the heat networks conversation. Obviously, it's early stages, but the leisure centres are significant consumers of energy. So it makes absolute sense for us to be part of that conversation to understand what the potential is. And obviously, we have carbon targets within the leisure operating contract, so that the heat networks conversation is something that we are really keen to be part of and to fully understand it. But we have got the right people who are engaged with that.
Great, thank you.
Say, right, thank you very much, and thank you for your presentation and your full answers. Obviously you're welcome to stay next item if you're really interested, but if you would.
No disrespect, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, fascinating. Come on, this is headline news. Gosh. Right. Next. They've all the outrageous things about saying he's going to miss. Right. Okay. Next item number 7 is the future of curbside recycling. So Councillor Riddle's going to do a bit of introduction, and I'll pass on the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I've got Paul Jones and David Cruz with us as well. Answer any technical questions or financial questions here. But as you know, under the Environment Act of 2021, the government introduced simpler recycling. So this paper is telling us what we have done so far and our aims of when we would aim to introduce it. In 10th of June 25, we had a paper to Cabinet which talked about food waste. As it says in this paper, Cabinet agreed to plan the rollout to approximately 90,000 households across South East and Central areas in Northumberland. That is as far as that amount of money would stretch at that time. And, you know, that is with an aim to introduce that from April. This report considers the options for the rest of the dry recycled products, which, as it says in the paper, includes glass and all the other items of plastic. Obviously, it isn't just a simple matter for us as an authority because, you know, you have to decide how much and what you're going to put into which bins, and then you've got to work out what it's going to cost to get that processed, and which is the well, the simplest for the user and the most cost effective both in finance and in carbon terms. And the option which we chose was option 3A, which was the most compliant, and it's actually DEFRA's preferred option. It will involve considerable work to be done at Seaburn with the recycling facility there, because the lines will all need to be changed, etc., etc. That is operated under a PFI contract with sewers, and there has to be contractual negotiations so that their costs are covered, but they're not supposed to be better off by this. So there's a lot of work to be done there. And, you know, that's going to take time. And we can only move as fast as sewers want to move as well. So the intention is to implement this with an aim of October, as it says in the report, October 26. We have the vehicles ordered that we need, but we would not want to employ the manpower until we know the exact date that we want to start, etc. And we have some certainty. So I think with that, I mean, the other thing is, you know, there's considerable capital expenditure here. I think it's 21 million. We think a lot of that will be, we're going to get the extended producer responsibility funding, which is going to cost every one of you money, because it's money that has to be added on to the cost of producing something, because the producer has to pay for the total cost of getting rid of the packaging. So, but we've actually been told that we are going to receive 5.717 million in the first year, which is quite considerable. So there's lots of other information here. The fact that during the changes that have to be made to the processing plant, we'll have to transport material to elsewhere. We think that's going to cost us circa £150,000 per month. So, you know, the sooner we can get everything done, the better. With that, I think I'll say that that's introducing the report. You've probably read it all, so you know.
Okay. Is there anything to hand up before I go to questions, or?
No, I think.
Right. So, just to note, this did go to cabinet, and they did pick option 3A in the report, just so that you're aware. Okay, Councillor Dunn.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the report. I've actually been online and read all the gory details. Not that I had anything else, but like electricity was off the Wi-Fi, so I'll get into that. And it was quite interesting. First of all, I thank you for the report. And I recognised all the hard work that's done that. And actually, I'm pleased that we're not having the 6 that everybody thought we were going to have, because we were going to have 6 about 3 years ago. Everybody was going to say, they're going to put 6 bins. And that really was, so when I saw you only having 3, or maybe 3, so that was the question. I thought, great, we're on the right route here. I do understand, because we rode we've been down in Tyndale, and we do understand the enormity of dealing with rural areas and the costs, etc. So, you know, it's a really good job, and I do actually agree with your recommendation. The only thing is that I would suggest, and I'm just asking, is you had your food recycling before. The government clearly says that you put your food in with your garden waste. So just at the present time, and that's what the government document says. At the present time, we do, and I do know that you obviously charge for recycling, garden recycling. So if you did that, you might lose that as an income. However, we were talking about giving a small bin for food to go to AD at our last meeting when we discussed that. And so what I'm saying now is, are you going to say, well, actually, you're not going to do that any longer. You can have your 3 bins. So you get your food and your garden waste in one, and that would be collected every other week, where you get the other ones every other week. So, you know, we glass one and paper and cardboard 1 week, and then this week, because that's food. So have you considered putting those 2 together, or is there a reason why you can't put them together?
Yeah, so just in response to that, the obligations from government are that we provide a weekly food waste collection service. That's a legal obligation. That's separate to garden waste. So garden waste is something that's not an obligation through the government's changes to simpler recycling. there was a consultation as part of that where they were considering making it an obligation, but they shied away from that. So that's still a service that the council is a discretionary service that we can provide and charge for.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting
Yeah,
at.
the issue, and that's self-financing for those people that have gardens that want to use that service effectively. So that means that people that, you know, might live in more deprived areas that don't have access to their own garden aren't paying for the cost of a service that is only available to people that effectively have got much bigger houses and gardens. So you know, that ties into the inequalities aspect and value for money as well. In terms of how you would process that material, some local authorities do put food waste into garden waste collections and they collect that. What that means though is that because of the animal byproducts regulations, where that material then has to go through a contained high temperature process like anaerobic digestion or in-vessel composting to make sure that it's safe to apply to land. That's a very costly process to treat effectively what is primarily garden waste with a small amount of food waste tagged in. In Northumberland, we process the garden waste through open air windrow composting, which is extremely low cost and can go straight onto agricultural land or into you know, soil improvement products for domestic reuse. That's a really cost effective way to deal with that material. We're collecting or proposing to collect food waste weekly separately because that's the most cost effective way to deliver that service and also meets the legal obligations.
I'm really, I mean, I'm really getting, I mean, I understand, I mean, in all our rural areas, we do have glass collecting facilities. People say, why are you not taking it away? But actually, I understand you're putting glass, it can't go with paper, and I can understand that. So it's going with metal and plastic and things like that. So I quite understand that, and that gives that gives me an opportunity to save them. However, have you thought about the rural areas about having one, or is it just impractical to have sections within villages where people can drop things off? I'm just talking about the cost, because going in the rural areas is horrendous. It's just a way of actually saying, well, we do one collection. I don't know, or it might be too full for the bins that come along. I mean, there's all practicalities about it.
So one of the key benefits of option 3A is the fact that we effectively use our existing refuse collection fleet and crews. So we're not looking to add to that collection fleet or crews to enable us to deliver that service. All we're adding is an extra bin to households. And you'll see from the paper that what happens is that you currently get your general waste collected once per fortnight, and then we come the other fortnight to collect your recycling bin. What happens under the revised proposals is that you'll have 2 recycling bins, and one of those will get emptied on each of those alternate recycling collections. So effectively, each bin gets emptied once per month. What that enables us to do is to provide that service to effectively all those households that are currently on that alternate weekly collection cycle for recycling, provided they can accommodate the extra wheeled bin and receive that service. So it should negate significantly the need for bring recycling centres in local areas for things like glass, because we provide that collection service to the vast majority of households to the doorstep.
And it's what's happened in North Yorkshire. They've used this system and it seems to work quite well. So
where they go to, but the thing is, so basically you'll be removing all the.
We won't be removing them all straight away.
No.
We'll obviously let things settle down, but certainly within the first 6 months we'll be looking to review that, because our expectation was the usage of those should dwindle right off, and that's just an unnecessary cost to them.
So there'll be a saving on that service, yeah, because that service at the moment is free.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I understand it's a very difficult thing. I think it's really
what we're likely to do is we'll always probably maintain some of those separate material collections to separate containers at the household waste centres for glass, for large bulk cardboard and things such as that, because household waste sites are a bit of a pressure relief valve for people. If you've got too much stuff and you need to get a shot of it and you can't get it through your general household collections, it's, we need somewhere where people can take that excess material free of charge and deposit it sensibly and environmentally appropriately.
Thank you for the question so far. No, I understand it. Thank you.
I've read all this and I can understand the rationale behind you coming up with your decision of 3 year, whatever, whichever one it was. I would, however, like to ask you a question about how it actually is worked, this system, because only Monday, I beg your pardon, I was contacted off Dr. Wendy Field about a project that's going to be doing in my area, which is a county council recycle contamination project. And because some people already at the moment do bins, a little bit of difficulty. They either have difficulty of understanding what goes in one bin or they don't care. And according to Wendy, it's probably about 20% of material collected is in fact contaminated. These are her figures, by the way, not mine. Which is equal to 4,227 tons of material rejected by the recycling plant, which is a lot. But obviously, there's a lot of rubbish because that's only 20%. How are we going to, with extra bins coming up, how are we going to make sure this message is got across? Because we need to reduce that. I understand the splitting up and fine, and I understand everything about where we've gone to 3 year, but we also need to work with this system that, I mean,
wholeheartedly agree. What I would say though is that the range of materials that we want people to put in that mixed recycling bin currently is relatively quite narrow, in that all we want is plastic bottles in terms of plastic materials. People will put in plastic pots, tubs and trays because they pick those up. The seed's got this can be recycled on the bottom of it and they sling it in.
Yeah.
All of that material is currently classed as contamination.
Yeah.
A lot of those things that are currently classed as contamination will become accepted materials under these new collection arrangements, and we'll be asking them to put them in the recycling bin. But one of the biggest issues we do have is people just basically slinging general waste in their recycling bin because they don't want to segregate waste and they think they can get away with that. That's what the focus of our activity will be on in terms of the campaign that you're making reference to. It's basically trying to get people to not put clearly what is general waste and should never ever be in the recycling bin, in the general waste bin instead.
If they, of course, fully understand it, some of it will just be laziness or whatever, I understand it, but there will be some people who genuinely don't understand it. So the third bin might be fine. That might work out perfectly.
No, I think the second bin. I think in terms of, do you understand that you can put a black bag full of rubbish in a recycling bin? I think it's quite obvious that that's just a no.
Well, yeah, obviously some are pretty obvious. I mean, it says on here that they may sort of tag them, so as opposed to they won't be taken away.
So some of that, obviously, we give people the opportunity to amend their ways, but fundamentally, if all they're doing is contaminating the recycling, that impacts on everyone else who's doing it properly, and that's not fair. So what we would do is ultimately remove the recycling provision from them. So yes, if you're not going to recycle, you've got a general waste bin, but we're only coming once a fortnight for it, and you'll have to.
So is this then putting the onus on the collector? So we're going to have to look in every bin and say contaminated, strike one, contaminated,
doing that already.
Yeah. That's correct. Yeah.
Just on, I'm interested at that point. So, the collectors open the bin, they look in it, and say there's, recycling bin, but there's 2 yogurt pots in it. Would that be a contaminated load, or is it? No. So is it sort of balancing out?
It needs to be grossly contaminated. We expect there's always going to be an element of. I think how I would differentiate that is that you've got people that are doing the wrong thing with good intent, and you've got people that are just doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's pretty obvious.
Knowingly doing
the wrong thing.
Yeah. That this makes it much more simple because nearly everything that's recyclable, other than the paper, card, and cardboard, which is going in that separate bin, that's recyclable, goes into that recycling bin. So it's. There's really no excuse.
It should be.
Like every government plan of simplification, I'm sure it doesn't make any problem.
Right. Sorry, can I just ask, are we going to relabel the bins? Because they were always relabeled I'm not saying every year, and it used to have little stickers on the top, and they used to be.
We'll certainly be ensuring that your new black body with a beige, a burgundy lid. Sorry, you'll shoot me now. A burgundy lid will be physically embossed in the lid with paper and cardboard and all the instructions.
Nothing for the old ones.
On the old ones, we'll be issuing people with a new sticker that
There you go then.
flag on the top that will instruct them, along with all the other communications materials that we'll be getting.
Yeah, still.
Tell them what should go in that bin.
Right.
You've got the wrong coloured bins sometimes, you've got to remember.
You have, and to be fair, we have looked at, is it possible to kind of reharmonise the colours, but that would involve 240,000 different people to switch bins. It's just a recipe for disaster. I'm not going.
Okay, do anything else to say? Oh, yeah, because
I know you mentioned option 3 is is a preferred option. Can you just explain the finances to me? Because you're talking about a £21 million
Yeah.
upfront.
So what we're saying is that that's the cost, and you see it on the table in there. The big slug of that, there's an element of the costs associated with the additional recycling bins that will go out. The other biggest chunk is actually the cost of refurbishing and redeveloping that recycling plant to basically take out the existing sorting equipment and put a whole new processing line in. That's a capital investment that will then effectively depreciate over a 15-year lifespan of that facility. We're already getting extended producer responsibility funds from PAC UK, from the government, on that basically a tax on household packaging producers, manufacturers and suppliers and which is right. It's the right thing to do, because the polluter should pay for the cost of the materials put into the market, and that will incentivise them to reduce the amount of packaging that they use through that process. That funding is going to be coming to us on an annual basis. So you're talking, best part of over £5.1 million at least per year over the next however many years going forward. So we're using that revenue funding to meet the cost of the borrowing cost, as well as the cost of operating those services. And even having done all of that, there's still some funds to do some further enhancements to our recycling services. So we're looking at some in-cab technology and the like to enhance and make it better for users and easy for staff to administer the service. And even having done all of that, there's a bit of a surplus left over that will go back to the council to effectively underwrite the cost of our existing.
So it's going to be
recycling. So basically, there's no additional direct cost to us. Everything that we're doing is being paid for through that packaging directive.
Let's get that clarified, because I'm not sure I've got it from this.
Councillor Spiggle.
Do I understand from Amazon making any sort of donation towards the recovery of their cardboard boxes and recycling?
As a packaging user and supplier, they'll be making a whopping contribution to it. I don't know the exact figures, but it's all packaging users, manufacturers, anyone that puts packaging into the UK economy gets done with packaging tax.
Is it government business? I think government has set a business.
Yeah, it's administered through an organisation called PAC UK that you see referenced in that. That's a compliance scheme that look at how the funding works and modulate that.
So it's not coming from general taxpayers.
It's not from general tax.
From the polluter pays.
Polluter pays.
Right. Okay. I think that's sorry.
We haven't actually touched on the additional bin issue very much, and we're very conscious of the fact that some people haven't got room for an additional bin, and we will talk to people if and we can offer a smaller bin, 120 litre bin, and things like this. So it's not one fits all. It's we will try to work with people.
That's Sim. Thanks.
With reference to the bins, I know in the Hurst area of Ashington, they don't have the wheelie bins and stuff. Got communal, how will that work for them?
Right. We offer that in exactly the same way. We're just trying to replicate that with a communal system for the simpler recycling as well. We'll just replicate that.
Yeah.
The whole idea is just basically.
So there'll be three communal bins rather than two.
Correct. Yeah.
Councillor
If you've got saying people are going to have additional bins, are we going to have a small food bin?
Sorry?
We're having a small food bin.
Yeah.
It's a caddy, not a bin.
Well,
It sounds like big bin anyway.
It's like a bucket which goes inside here.
You get two. You get a small kind of little 5 litre kitchen caddy that you decant into a.
Then we have the two. So and then we have the two other bins. Yeah. We're not going to have. Maybe you won't have 3 big bins.
we'll have three big bins.
You know, three
We
big
have
bins.
the black bin, or well, sorry, the general waste bin.
General waste
Then
bin.
we have the card bin, which is, and then we've got the glass and plastics bin,
all the stuff.
everything else.
Yeah.
So that's the three big bins. And what's
Then you
not,
have the food bin.
and then the food bin is yes, is get on top.
That's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
it's so this report is about the recycling. The small food bin will be collected weekly, and that's a separate system. So that get that as well. So three big bins and a food bin. And maybe a garden waste bin as well.
Yeah, and if you want a garden waste bin, we'll.
Yes, we've got big bins.
And there'll be a lot of rural areas who won't have a food waste.
Yeah, but the food bin's really been rolled out in the south, south centre. Right. Thanks for making discussion. Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to the next agenda, which is our work programme. Just so the aware members, I did have a request from a member who is not on this committee, but wanted a report to come to us on museums Northumberland and their operation. So I might have asked for a report through the new year on that, just so you're aware. Is anything else to flag up? Sure.
No, I had a quick chat with Paul before the meeting, and those issues that are still to be programmed. Remember small schemes, grounds maintenance, review, high-rise maintenance. Hopefully we can get to this program in the first 2 or 3 meetings in the new year as well, Chair. Okay, thank you.
And remember, if any other topics do come up, let me know and we can have them to consider.
I'd love to, can I just, I'm going to ask you now, food waste. Right, is that cooked food? I'm just saying, it's what's it. So I just think that's the one thing that people are going to be very muddled about. If you peel an apple.
Food waste is both cooked and uncooked, so it's all the food waste associated with preparation of food. It includes meat products. Yeah. So it's basic, that's why animal byproducts are an issue, because you don't have uncooked food and all the rest of it in.
We're having a conversation what is cooked and what's uncooked. And what
It doesn't matter, it's basically anything out of your kitchen. So tea bags, coffee grinds,
that's all I'm saying.
or lettuce leaves. If you get chewy bits on your chop, fire those in. The bones on your chop are fine. Small bones are fine. Chicken bones will be fine. Fire that in.
But what about big beef little bite?
The only one is when you start talking the great big bones that you can't get your dog to gnaw, leave them for the dog to chew.
The dog,
Yeah.
okay.
I've got a dog, I've got a bad one.
Right, move on to urgent business. I've none, so that concludes the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.